Hey guys, Furum here, and today I'm going to be explaining the old multiplayer system versus the new multiplayer system, what their differences are, and why I believe that the older system is generally better than the new one and should be brought back. So first let's start off with what actually the systems are. So for those of you who may not have been playing Asphalt 8 recently, it got a change for the current season, in which matchmaking is based on car speed rather than car rank. For pretty much ever since multiplayer and Asphalt 8 came out, matchmaking has been based on rank, even before Multiplayer 2.0 came out with the leagues and stuff. So ever since the new system came out, some polls have been taken that show the majority of players do in fact prefer the old system. This is not just my preference. Now, for those of you who think the new system is better, I've heard you, and I understand where you're coming from, but I would like to tell you now why I believe, along with the majority of Asphalt 8 veterans, that the old system is generally better than the new one. As I said, it is based on speed rather than rank, and it is based on speed only. As far as I know, nothing other than maximum speed is taken into account when matchmaking. As you can see here, I'm facing a Max Pro R8 SE that is nearly 200 ranks above me, which, come to think of it, is 7 miles per hour faster. And that car also has much better acceleration, and speaking of acceleration, that is pretty much the only thing that matters in multiplayer anymore. You take out a car like an MP48, you're pretty much guaranteed to win the race, unless you make some horrible mistake, because being based on speed, even if some cars are a bit faster and slower than you, and even sometimes quite a bit when the system does not work properly, the cars with crazy fast acceleration such as this one are pretty much always going to beat the ones with slower acceleration, meaning that the king of low ranks is now the Donkervort. Yes, that car you can buy for 300 credits can now pretty much get first place in every race at stock. That's another big problem with the system. The cars that are good now, the ones that have really good acceleration, so many of them aren't even cars that are difficult to get, like the Donkervort, for example. So you could have somebody in Amateur League playing a Donkervort who runs up against somebody with a much better car that was harder to get and beat them pretty much all the time, therefore going up a bunch and causing the other person to go down a bunch, even though the other person is in a better car that they worked harder for. Just because the other person is in a car that accelerates slower, like this M2 here was nearly 200 rank below me that we beat in that race there. And he got killed because the speed was forced to be the same, and therefore because his acceleration is low, there's no way he can compete against the MP48. Even though it is supposed to be a special edition and supposed to be really good, it just isn't anymore because of this system. These special editions aren't really even all that special anymore. One thing I believe that led to this system was people complaining all over the place about the R8 SE needing to be nerfed and all that. Well, I would certainly prefer good players in good cars they worked really hard for pulling out wins in the car that is supposed to be good than a bunch of noobs in cars they didn't work hard for in Amateur League beating them up. It just doesn't make any sense. For example, in this race, I am on the more newbie car side. I am in an FXX, one of the worst S-Class cars that you can purchase for like 100,000, and it costs almost nothing to Max Pro. Now, what are those cars ahead of me? An Audi R8 e-tron Special Edition and an RX-8 Special Edition, which start up faster so they are further ahead, but they're going about the same speed as me, because they are lower ranked, quite a bit lower ranked, in fact. Those cars people worked really hard for to get through like 1 to 2 week R&Ds, and now they're just on par with this 100,000 credit FXX. And if they make any mistake, they're toast. I really cannot imagine why anybody would like this system unless they are somewhat of a beginner to the game who does not have very good cars, but the thing is, you're not supposed to win very often if you don't have good cars. You're supposed to get better cars, and then you win more often. Not put everybody on an equal playing field in multiplayer no matter what car they have or how hard they worked for it, and still let just anybody win, basically. Because in this race, we have beat an R8 e-tron Special Edition because he made one mistake, and he is nearly 200 ranks below me. Just imagine I was a noob in Amateur League, and he was in Champion League. He would go down so much because of this horribly unfair matchmaking that he would have absolutely no control over, and this really good Special Edition car is now on par with an FXX. Because, again, the game forces the speeds to be the same, or within 10 miles per hour. As we'll see in this race, I am in a 1684 Apollo Apollo Intensa Emozione. The car right behind me is a completely pro'd out MP431, and we have a max pro'd Apollo IE in this race and a 1790 something one. And I am risking points, so even though the system is supposed to be based on speed, at this rank, the rank-based matchmaking system actually did a better job with that. Because now your multiplayer tuned Apollo IEs are practically useless because you're always pretty much going to get paired with max pro'd ones. And there is nothing that you can do about it. No wait, there is one thing you can do. Sign the petition. Currently it has just over 300 signatures as I'm recording this. I am aiming for 500 before I send it off to Gameloft, but if we got it to 1,000, that would be pretty nice. Because I remember one of the last petitions that we did, which was to remove the added token upgrades on older cars, got 1,000 signatures, and those changes were reverted. So if we get to 1,000 signatures again, maybe the same thing can happen. Oh yes, and let's not forget about what used to be one of the most overpowered multiplayer cars that was really hard to get. It was nearly 13,000 tokens when it came out and had a really grueling event last Christmas time. Yes, the SLK Special Edition, which is now basically useless, because now if you tune it low, since everything gets matched based on speed, it has horrible acceleration and thus will get killed by literally everything, including a McLaren 12C, or a Savage Rival GTR, or a Cadillac CTS-V Coupe race car, or a Ford GT, you name it. And if you max pro it, you'll hardly ever find anybody because it is so fast to max pro that it only gets paired with other max pro SLK SEs, and maybe an occasional Corvette Grand Sport. Poor SLK, and yes, this Donkervort is now running rampant over multiplayer anywhere basically from rank 1000 to 1400, and then the MP425 kills everything above like 1600. Now you have just 4 cars or so that are guaranteed to win pretty much every race that they're in, regardless of the track. At least before, cars with faster acceleration would win on shorter tracks, cars with worse acceleration but higher top speed would win on longer tracks, and cars that, say, were in the middle, well, they could win on both sometimes. You see, there was a lot more variety in what cars could actually win a lot of the time. Some people say this new system is more based on skill. However, if there's this car that shoots off like a rocket in front, and you're here with your BMW M2 or something like that, and he's there in a Donkervort, well, you in Pro League is going to get beat by somebody in low challenger, and there goes your points. Over and over and over again, because you have no chance to catch up because the speeds are about the same. Catching up is basically no longer a thing that exists, which now makes races also really boring. So guys, please, for the sake of not letting Asphalt 8 multiplayer die, sign this petition. There is still hope, and if Gameloft sees that enough people do not like this system, maybe next season it will be back to normal, and the majority of people will be happy. Thank you all so much for watching. If this video was informative, please give it a like, and please consider subscribing for more Asphalt 8 and Asphalt 9 content, and please sign that petition. I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!